In our contemporary world, where digital footprints and curated appearances often dictate first impressions, the pervasive desire to look perpetually stunning has become almost a societal mandate. Why this relentless pursuit of aesthetic perfection? Perhaps it's a deeply ingrained human yearning for social acceptance, a strategic move for career advancement, or an evolutionary instinct driving successful mate selection. Yet, this relentless quest for conventional beauty often obscures a profound truth. Looking great isn't always synonymous with being great. And, surprisingly, there's a profound, often overlooked, bright side to being deemed less than conventionally attractive. If that sounds counterintuitive or even preposterous, then allow me to unveil in this compelling presentation for compelling, often transformative, advantages that arise from possessing a less-than-perfect facade. Looksmaxing. It's a phenomenon that only recently entered my lexicon. In fact, I'd never encountered the term before last year, yet it quickly became, unofficially, my personal word of the year for 2018, perfectly encapsulating a prevailing cultural obsession. Looksmaxing, at its core, denotes the relentless, often systematic, effort to optimize every single aspect of one's physical appearance. While I firmly believe there's nothing intrinsically wrong with self-improvement or the desire to enhance one's physical presentation, the entire looksmaxing subculture, and indeed, the societal impulses it mirrors, reflects an almost obsessive external focus. We live in an era where the superficial often overshadows the substantial. It's overwhelmingly about the packaging. Of course, for those who might perceive themselves as ugly, a fresh haircut, a commitment to fitness, or a carefully curated wardrobe can undoubtedly make a significant difference. Yet, let's be honest, some individuals, by widely accepted standards, will unfortunately be labeled as ugly regardless of their efforts. While I subscribe to the timeless adage that beauty truly resides in the eye of the beholder, and acknowledge that ideals of beauty have fluidly shifted across myriad societies and historical epochs, there exists a collective aesthetic consensus in most places. In stark terms, if your own community deems you unattractive and coincidentally, people on the other side of the globe arrive at the same conclusion, then you might feel, to put it mildly, screwed. Or perhaps not. Because, believe it or not, there are some profoundly liberating advantages when others aren't primarily drawn to you for your physical allure. So, let's delve into these unexpected boons. And just to be absolutely clear, while I'll be addressing you directly in the second person from this point forward, it's not an assertion of your personal attractiveness, but simply a narrative device. One you dodge many bullets. I would like to share with you a timeless Taoist parable, one I'll keep concise. A long, long time ago, nestled deep within the verdant landscapes of ancient China, there stood an old, gnarled tree. This tree was so profoundly deformed, its branches so grotesquely twisted, and its bark so oddly textured that not a single woodcutter, no matter how desperate, expressed the slightest interest in felling it. Its appearance was simply too unappealing, too impractical for their purposes. In stark contrast, the straight, tall, and perfectly formed trees surrounding it were systematically and massively cut down, cherished for their ideal suitability in being transformed into sturdy wooden planks and various utilitarian objects. Do you see the profound irony here? The very ugliness and perceived uselessness of the crooked tree became its ultimate salvation, ensuring its survival, allowing it to grow exceptionally old and majestically large. Meanwhile, its perfectly beautiful counterparts met their untimely end at the swing of an axe. As countless years drifted by, people inevitably began to notice the ancient, gnarled tree, not for its former ugliness, but precisely because of its strange, unique form and remarkable longevity. Eventually, this once-rejected tree came to be considered special, a living testament to resilience, and was ultimately declared sacred by the local villagers. Your path in life, if you are deemed unattractive, is fundamentally different from that of a Chad or a Stacy, those archetypal high school darlings, bestowed with what society considers gifted genetics. And for this divergence, you should be profoundly grateful that you are not them. Consider Stacy. Her dating history reads like a tragicomedy, a relentless string of bad boys who were drawn to her exclusively for her captivating looks, only to leave emotional wreckage in their wake. And Chad? His narrative spiraled into that of a sex addict, gradually succumbing to the numbing allure of alcohol and drugs. Because he was perpetually showered with female attention based solely on his appearance, he never truly received the internal incentive, the necessary push, to forge a meaningful purpose or build something substantial with his life. He even, regrettably, impregnated a woman who was little more than a casual acquaintance, if you grasp the implications of that situation. If, however, you possess a less conventional appearance, you are, in all probability, largely free from such soul-crushing miseries. Embrace that freedom, truly be happy about it. 2. You rely on personality. The undeniable fact that you were not born with conventionally stunning looks presents a magnificent, unmissable opportunity. A blank canvas, if you will, to meticulously cultivate and develop other, far more enduring aspects of your being. Foremost among these invaluable facets is your personality. Can individuals who are deemed ugly not be utterly charismatic? I firmly believe they can and often are. Qualities such as genuine kindness, a quick and clever sense of humor, profound intelligence, and the ability to articulate your thoughts with eloquence are all profound assets that you can diligently develop and hone over time. Ultimately, I am convinced that a person who is truly kind, sincere, and honest in their dealings will be infinitely more appreciated and remembered than someone who may possess striking looks but is, in reality, a complete jerk or a total fraud. Another truly remarkable advantage is this: those individuals who genuinely like you, who actively seek to associate with you, are doing so for the right reasons. They are drawn to your authentic personality, to the very essence of who you are. Contrast this with popular and conventionally beautiful people, who are all too frequently used and even abused, not for their inherent worth, but merely for the social status or reflected glory they can offer. People often desire to be seen alongside handsome and pretty individuals, not out of genuine affection, but because it subtly or not so subtly elevates their own perceived prestige. Consider certain social groups, particularly those heavily invested in maintaining carefully curated online personas. Their entire existence often revolves around a shared aesthetic, a veneer of looks. In the harsh light of reality, these individuals might even harbor intense dislike for one another. But, I suppose, that becomes irrelevant to them as long as they can project an image of perfect camaraderie on platforms like Facebook and Instagram. What a profoundly shallow existence that must be. You, on the other hand, are far more likely to forge deep, resonant, and genuinely meaningful friendships, connections that do not revolve around such superficial aspects as the symmetry of your face, the sculpted size of your muscles, or whether your designer purse impeccably matches your new jacket. 3. You have more time. Chad and Stacy, they truly have their hands perpetually full. Everyone, it seems, desperately wants to be seen with them, to associate with their perceived glow, and consequently, they are chronically bombarded with an incessant stream of WhatsApp messages and demanding phone calls. Life, it turns out, can be extraordinarily hard when you're blessed with striking good looks and an overwhelming surge of popularity. Stacy, with a mere swipe, can effortlessly match with virtually any guy on Tinder, and Chad, it must be said, fares equally well on various dating applications. They even, at one point, dated each other. Stacy genuinely liked Chad. She is, of course, discerning, but he met her rather exacting standards. Unfortunately for Stacy, Chad maintained a veritable laundry list of other stunning girls who were relentlessly pursuing him, and he simply couldn't bear to disappoint them. Could he? So he broke things off with her, citing the sheer impossibility of choosing. It all sounds incredibly appealing, doesn't it? But there's a profound psychological concept known as the paradox of choice, which elegantly explains that an overwhelming abundance of options can actually lead to paralysis, anxiety, and a persistent headache. When you are not burdened by conventional beauty, it's highly probable that your pool of potential partners is more limited, and your phone isn't constantly ringing off the hook with people clamoring for your attention. And this, my friend, is a truly magnificent thing. Why? Because it means you possess an abundance of invaluable free time. A precious commodity that Chad and Stacy can only dream of. Imagine the possibilities. You can dedicate yourself to mastering a complex musical instrument, meticulously build a thriving business from the ground up, or finally sit down and write that book you've always envisioned. Make superb use of this gift, I implore you, for you're likely to be successful. Do you genuinely believe Mark Zuckerberg, the architect of Facebook, is or ever was a supermodel? Or what about Elon Musk, the visionary behind Tesla and SpaceX? Okay, granted, Elon Musk presents a more polished and conventionally attractive image now, but if you cast your eyes upon his photographs from his younger years, a blunt ouch might be a fitting reaction. Now, just imagine for a moment if both Elon and Mark had been considered dashing, irresistible studs in their formative years. Do you honestly believe they would have possessed the single-minded focus and relentless drive required to build groundbreaking empires like Facebook and Tesla? I sincerely doubt it. My intuition suggests they would have been far too preoccupied chasing girls, much like our aforementioned Chad, their energy dissipated by fleeting social conquests rather than monumental innovation. Being deemed less than conventionally attractive can, in fact, serve as an incredibly potent driving force for success, a powerful, almost alchemical fuel for ambition. If you find yourself struggling to find a partner due to your physical appearance, you can transmute that very frustration, that initial sting of rejection, into an unyielding fuel to achieve true greatness. I must emphasize here that greatness extends far beyond mere financial success or material wealth. You can achieve profound greatness in virtue, in character, in spirit. Nuns and monks, who dedicate their lives to selfless service and spiritual enlightenment, stand as prime examples of this often overlooked form of human achievement. Scientific studies have consistently demonstrated that acts of genuine generosity reliably foster deep feelings of happiness and contentment in individuals. You do not need to be conventionally pretty or handsome to be profoundly generous, to perform